Hi everybody, welcome back. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the check writing place that I was mentioning at the end of the last video. In case you missed the end of the last video, or this is their first video of me talking about debt collection, here's what I was discussing. My parents, and like I said in the last video, I'm not dumb enough to go to a check writing place to, write checks like Check and Go or whatever. You couldn't drag me in there to do business with them. I mean, I can see me working there, but not going in there to do business on the other side of the desk. The collection side of the Check and Go place, it's not Check and Go necessarily, but like Check and Go, one of those places. Actually, somebody my parents know that I also know had written some checks there, the third person. Well, that third person actually had put my parents down as references. Well, the check writing place started calling and pestering my parents looking for this third person. Well, I know for a fact this person was having a lot of financial issues, and they were bouncing back and forth between residences and blah blah blah, but not at my parents' house, But what happened is this person lied to my mom and said that my mom had signed paper saying that she was a co-signer on it, and my mom was like, no, I did not. And if I did, I expect you to send me paperwork proving that I did. They never sent mom papers, and they quit pestering her over it. I told my mom and dad that if these people call back, rip them a new one, because they should not be calling multiple times looking for them unless they suspect mom and dad might know more information on how to locate this third person. And I told my parents, I said, you better hope to God I don't ever show up at your house and they call, because I'm going to, like I said in the last video, rip these collectors a new one and read them the Riot Act. And I'd like to see them get into it with me, because I'll tell them, one, what they're doing illegally. Secondly, I happen to know the manager in that store. I was like, put her on the phone. I would rip this person a new rear end and say, you're talking to somebody who not only A, knows you well enough to know where I can find you to talk to you in person about it off of work, but secondly, you're messing with people who somewhat well, and your people are breaking the law. If I catch this happening again, I'm going to personally recommend that my parents come after your company. Seriously. And I told my parents that's exactly what's going to happen. I said, you better hope to God that I don't show up and they pull this crap, because I will more than happily rip them a new one and rip that manager a new one, because I know her and it's a lady. I tell you what, I explained to both my parents. I said, if it happens again, you warn them. Say, look, I know what my rights are. You're violating them, and stop. Or, I know what my legal options are. And you do have legal options if you're a friend or a family member who keeps getting phone calls from people going, yeah, I'm looking for, Jane Poe because she, I got something that belongs to her, I've actually called friends and family members of people when I was a debt collector, as I've mentioned in both the last two videos. I've actually said, I've got something here that belongs to the person. I didn't say what it was, and it's not divulging any information. I was like, I'm just trying to find this person so I can get it back to them. Is there a phone number I can possibly reach him or her at? It's like I dug for answers. And I'm like, they're not in trouble or anything. And my calm thought was, yet. As soon as we locate this person, we're going to go after them to pay that. Oh, and there is one other, and I forgot to mention this in the other two videos. I can tell you for a fact, there is one state that I know for sure that if a debt collector calls somebody in this state, this is one state of the union that they cannot, let's see, they basically can't do anything to these people. It's garnish wages, do stuff to their, property or anything. It's Texas, believe it or not. and the people in Texas know it. Okay, so, I mean, just as an FYI for some of you, in case you're curious, I know for a fact, having been a debt collector, as I mentioned before, the people in Texas know this. And I've actually had it said to me. You know, so I just thought I would mention that here. But yeah, you know, I really do think that, you know, if you're going to be that stupid that, you know, these collectors think, okay, you know, we can call and harass you and, you know, say, oh, this is your debt, and you call them out and say, I want you to prove it. Put it in writing, send it by, you know, mail, by registered mail, and make copies of the letters and everything that you send them, all correspondence. You know, even if you fax it to them, you know, keep copies of everything. And if they are calling and harassing you, I'm pretty sure Radio Shack still sells it. I've seen it there. Is like a tape recorder that you can hook into your phone line that you can actually record the conversations on. And you are, even if the people, incidentally, this is another fact I want to share, you are allowed to record the phone conversation. By law, you are allowed to. And the thing is, and back when I was a collector, I had one of my supervisors say this, no joke. As long as one of you knows that the call is recorded, you can do it. But here's the thing. You have to tell them at the beginning of the phone call, you know, hi, this is Rake, you know, debtor, Rake debtor, and I'm recording the phone call on my end. You have to tell them that. By law, you're supposed to at the beginning of the call. If they're like, well, you can't record me, I'm like, I can do whatever I want on my phone line. You know, you cannot tell me what I can and cannot do on my own phone line. If I want to record you, that's my business. And you can tell them that. Say, by law, I am allowed to record you on my phone line. I mean, if you want to record every last phone call you have with every Tom, Dick, and Harry that calls your house, go right ahead. But, you know, especially when it comes to debt collectors, if they call and yes, you're recording, you have to, by law, tell them that. So that way, you get them on, you know, the record saying, well, you're not allowed to, you know, yeah, actually you are. Even if they scream, cry, and say different, yes, they are allowed. You know, seriously. I mean, and it's just, there's a nice thing is, the federal law, and in case you're curious, it's the National Debt Collectors Act. It's the National Fair Debt Collection Act. You know, so it's the name of the federal law, and a lot of the states do actually make it somewhat either, you know, stricter, or, you know, they just basically adopt the same thing. You know, so, you know, it's FDCPA, sorry, Fair Debt Collections Act. So, you know, if anybody, you know, at a collector tells you different from what I've said in this video and the previous 3, they're lying. And they can't say that they can, you know, sue you. They're not allowed to say that either. You know, they're not permitted. I mean, you know, if they want to, you know, sit there and say that, they're going to be lying to you. They cannot threaten or harass you. It is against federal law, folks. So don't let anybody bully you, okay? I'm going to pause here, and I'll think of some more stuff to share later, okay? So hang on.